Okay, well, hello and welcome everybody to AO Scan with Animals or AO Scan and Animals. I have the privilege of introducing my mom, Janice. I've known her the longest for everyone on here, so I get that privilege, 51 years and counting. My mom is, I don't even know what all your credentials, mom, is specifically because I'm like, she's just amazing. But truly, she's brilliant when it comes to animals. She's very intuitive. So before even using the scanner, she has that going for her and just really can understand animals in a unique way. But in addition to that, I should say, using the AO scan, she's also pretty brilliant with frequencies. Just a little sidebar on that. It's what she did in the military. So she has that going for her. If you know anything about military frequency, this kind of thing, this is what mom like 30, 40 years ago. So long before this was mainstream. She has quite a lot of knowledge behind her, and you will be absolutely blessed and privileged to hear her speak on number one, animals, but also using frequency and our tools that we have, the device that we have to help them really have the best life that they can. And then when it's time to you do the thing, right? When you go over the Rainbow Bridge with them, she is also amazing at helping through grief with animals specifically. Mom, what is your certification with that? If you could just share that.
Certified pet grief coach.
Yeah, that's awesome. So without further ado, it's go on, Mom.
Wow. After that, I think I just shut my laptop and walk away because I don't know that I can hold up to all that.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
first off, I'm going to put apologies around. We live in the country on a ranch. We've got dogs, everything. If they start getting noisy, they're inside because it's going to rain, and I'd just rather have them inside than outside getting all wet and muddy. Everybody knows how that works. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you. I'm so glad y'all joined. And I've been around animals since I'm 3. I started riding horses when I was 3. My parents had this dreams of grandeur of me being this uh, stunt girl. And all it did was allow me to fall in love with horses and animals, which much to my parents' chagrin, because then every Christmas it's like, is there a pony under the tree? Is there a pony under the tree? Right? Anybody else do that? I don't know. One thing I'd like you guys to do, if you wouldn't mind, is put in the chat, first off, if you have questions, but secondly, what kind of animals do you have? Do you have cats, dogs, bats, rats, goats, pigs, whatever? Because that'll give me a little bit of flavor if I need to address something more than what I'm already thinking about. Um, so let's get started. Why AO scan, right? Why would we use that on any critter, whatever, right? Well, first off, it's an amazing tool because I think many of you are familiar with frequency healing. If you do any kind of it's Reiki, however you say it. If you do that, PEMF, that's huge in the animal world now, especially with horses. There's all kinds of frequency things out there. And it's not a new thing. Frequency is obviously God invented it. So it's been around since the Lord created us. But we're learning more and more how to utilize it to help and to heal. Red light therapy, laser therapy, I can't even think of all the options that are out there for human beings, right? Well, now we're starting to incorporate them into pets. So they actually test them on animals first, but they don't tell you that, but they do. So that being said, so we do these things, we have these frequencies, and the thing I love about the AO scanner is there's no hands-on. And the reason I like that, y'all might think it's a little weird, but the reason I like that is because we human beings are selfish. We are very much selfish. We have animals. Why? Why do we have animals? Well, because we love animals. What do we love about our animals? Oh, they feel so good. I love when they lick my face. I love to pet them. I love to scratch them. I love to ride them. I love to groom them. I love to tell them all my tales of woe and sadness and let them make me feel better. I use them for therapy. They lead me. They guide me. I don't think I have to go on much more. But that's the thing, is that we expect a lot from animals. And I don't care if it's the goldfish in the bowl that you get for your child, because heaven forbid they want it at a carnival. to that draft horse or those 50 goats or whatever it is. We expect a lot. Sidebar, I saw a meme the other day, and I sent the video to Jen about riding horses. We expect to be able to just get on our horses and they should take us places. And why? When we don't use them for what they were designed to begin with. They were really designed to pull carts and to help us plow and to do that, to get us places. But now we have cars and tractors and all of that. So we still expect them to do for us. And what do we do for them? It's kind of how it is, right? We also love, I don't know how many of you have seen the meme with the therapy dog, right? My dog's my therapy dog. And after I tell him all my woes and his eyes are this big and he's like, oh my gosh, we do that, right? We give all our emotions to our animals. If you come home from work or you've had a disagreement with someone and you've got a dog or a cat or a bird, whatever, it lives in your house, right? The first thing you're going to do is, oh, Fluffy, oh, I love you so much. I've had such a hard day. And Fluffy goes, okay. And they nuzzle you and they paw at you and you pet them and you feel better and you walk away or you go do your thing, right? Animals are like sponges. They really do get all the stuff that you give them. And then what do they do with that? Right? Okay, so we also do things with them that some people go, oh, we shouldn't do that. And other people are like, oh, it's my business. We buy and sell. We buy and sell animals, whether it's puppies, horses, right? How many people do you know that have horses that are like, well, my daughter's outgrown this horse. She wants to barrel race. And so we're going to get rid of this one and get another one. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that then you're the one who gets that horse, maybe that child has outgrown, and you're wondering what's going on with this horse. Well, okay, maybe they're grieving, maybe they're, so we'll get into that. The other thing is we don't always do research when we get our little animal, right? Bless those of you that can go to the pound or a shelter or rescue and pick out an animal. Oh my gosh, I'd be divorced because my house would be full. I would be a rescue, right? Because that's just hard for me to see that. It's like, oh, you poor little thing. But when we do that, right, when we go, those animals come with baggage. They come with trauma. Okay. The other thing is the grief aspect of it. And this is something that, and when I started taking that course, I was like, oh, okay, I see. I've had to, and I recently put my horse down. Well, not recently, it's been about 8 months. The youngest horse, I had him from the time he was a year old, my big, beautiful draft horse, and I had to make that decision. And a while back, I had a vet tell me when we had to put our other dog down, she said, that is your final act of love with your pet, is when you have to end their life. It's horrible because it's hard, because we love them so much. Jen just went through that with her Chiweenie. And it was hard for her, even though that dog wasn't really her dog, it was still her dog. It was her part of the family. The other part that we've done, and I look at this as kind of a thing that the enemy has really woven into us, is that we have gone from having animals that we love and care for and utilize and help to they're now our babies. And in our mind, they are our babies. And when humans have babies, the natural order is not for them to die before you. Mm-hmm. You never have to put your baby down. So in your mind, you've now made this what your mind thinks is a human. And your mind is going, I can't do that because, well, they're going to miss out. When I had to make that decision with Bo, he was blind. And blind horses do okay. He did not. He panicked when he couldn't find his buddy, and he would run, and it was horrible. And I could not calm him down. I couldn't even get to him when he was running in the field. And he had cancer on his eye that we couldn't have disappear. He couldn't have surgery because he had heaves, even though the scanner made his lungs, and even the vet said, man, his lungs are 80% now from when she first saw him. It still was something that I had to think about and go, okay, what is his quality of life? What is his, is he thriving or is he just surviving? And so though that was hard, I had to think about, what am I doing for him? Right? And then I think, okay, the Lord gives us this wisdom, right? He tells us to be guardians and to do what's right by our animals, but he also has other ones out there, right? So if I chose to, I could get another animal and care for that and pour into that one. But there is no animal out there, unless the Lord himself makes it happen, that's going to live longer than you. Wait, let me rephrase that. Parrots and turtles. I mean, I've heard you got to put your parrot in your will because they probably will outlive you. And turtles, 100 years. I mean, they live forever, right? So, but you're not going to have the dog. I have big dogs, 10 to 12 years is their lifespan. Maybe it'll be a little longer. Horses, they can live 30, 35 years. My one, 20. I don't know how long goats, cats, all of them, but you have to think about what to do in those situations, right? Animals don't have FOMO. They aren't thinking about, oh, if they die tomorrow, they're going to miss Christmas. They don't, it just doesn't work that way. It's us. We think about that. We think about what they're going to miss. We think about, so I think, like I said, I really think this is part of the enemy's tactic to help us be less than and not be able to do what is right. Okay, so let's get off that sad part and move on to something better, right? Okay, got me? Okay. So here's the thing. When you have critters and you want to spend time with your critters, right? Like I said before, we tend to dump our emotions on them. We tend to, do all the things to make us feel better because that's what we do. So we don't think about when you walk out to your, like for me, I have horses. And when I walk from my house to the barn, which is about 30 yards, if I've had a disagreement with my husband or something's happened and I walk out there and my emotional state is less than, it will cause their emotional state to be less than. And it's the same thing with dogs, cats, they all feel those vibrations, right? So the thing I love a lot of things about the scanner, but one of the blessings is that it's a twofold thing. I can use it on them. I use it on me, I use it on them. One for you, one for me. And I do that every day. If my horses were riding horses, before I got on them, I would scan me and I would scan them. And let's look at how they show up on the scans, right? What's happening? So let's talk about that. The AO scanner can do a multitude of things, especially for human beings. For animals, we're a little bit limited, especially with things like dogs and cats. If you're trying to do chickens and goats, there's a bit of a workaround with that. And I've done it with my chicken and it worked out well. But you can't do certain things. Like you can't do comprehensive on anything but horses. You can do vitals on dogs, cats, and horses, which is wonderful. And that's primarily what most people have as pets, right? The average home doesn't usually have, I don't know, alligators for pets, but maybe somebody does. So let's talk about the different energy centers. That's my biggest thing when it comes to utilizing the scanner for animals, is the energy centers, because that's where their emotions are. That's what guides their emotions and their feelings and all of that. So let's start with dogs. Okay. So dogs have 11 energy centers. Humans have, anybody know? Anybody know? Anybody? 7. Okay. Dogs have all the 7, right? Plus they have ear, nose, tail, and paw. The reason for this is because they are you ready? More connected to the physical. When I read that, I was like, oh, and we're always told that we're spiritual beings, right? We're more connected to the spirit than we are to the physical. Dogs are more connected to the physical, and we see that in the jobs that they have and the things that they do, how God designed them to be, right? So when they're out of sorts, when they have different things within their energy centers, it'll cause their emotions and how they behave to react, right? We talked about those shelter dogs. So you get a shelter dog, and let's say he gets, you do a scan on him. And for me, I always run 4 scans, like over 4 days, because that gives that the machine time to really kind of balance it out to see what's going on. You know, if their nose energy center is out, it's going to make it really hard for them because they're very scent oriented. And so they can't smell. And maybe that's going to cause them to be, have difficulties within relationships and all of that. The other thing is, and Jen has a chart, I sent her a picture of a chart. So I have a chart. When I did raindrop, I took a raindrop class, very long raindrop class for animals. We had to get acupressure meridian charts. And so I have a horse one, and I have dog one, and I don't have a cat one. But I do have, I sent it to Jen. So if she wanted to share that, I can do this with it though.
Do you want me to share it in the chat, Mom, or do you want me to like do a screen share?
Just if you can just put it in the chat, I think that's fine. The point of the chart is because we can't do comprehensives with the AO scanner. But if you look at the chart and you see, I've drawn in as best I can the energy centers, you can see where they are on the body, and you can look at the meridians and see, oh, okay, I see what that does, right? One of the things though that we need to note is that so dogs have, they have a paw energy center, horses have a hoof energy center, and cats have what they call the bud energy center. For dogs, that paw energy center, that's their grounding center. So I don't know if you've ever seen, and it kind of hit me when I've got a dog who digs in the carpet. You think she's digging to China, or he's digging to China?
Yes.
And some of that's anxiety. Some of it is just because it's what they do. And the other part is that's a grounding thing. When they go outside and they dig, or I don't know if you've seen a dog mark his territory or pee or whatever, and then they kick the dirt with their back feet. You know, I've got one who does that. That's their connecting to the earth. They're grounding themselves. So, yeah, so it was kind of amazing. I'm like, oh, okay, I like that. In horses, now horses have 12 energy centers. So they have all the same as the dogs, though they don't have paw, they have hoof. But they also have one called the high solar plexus, which is right where, for those of you who know horses, it's right at their withers. And the interesting part about that is when that is out of whack, that can make them very unpleasant to ride. So if you have a saddle on a horse, right, which you're supposed to put it up by their withers, it's not supposed to go on top, but it's supposed to go by the withers, and it's rubbing, not fitting correctly, that's going to automatically make that energy center off. More than likely, it's going to be red, not yellow. So it's going to be high, which is going to cause them to be very anxious, which then makes them very unpleasant to ride. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd like to know if my horse is going to be unpleasant to ride. I'd like to go, oh, what can I do about that? So that's where we go with what can we do about that? When you have your scanner, you can run your frequencies, right? You can do your vitals. And then you look at the vitals for your energy centers and say, okay, what's going on? If it doesn't balance, right? Maybe you've got a red and it stays red, and you look and you say, okay, what is that saying? What is that telling me? And I've got a, got a lot of charts on different energy centers, and I can send you guys the links to that. But when you look at the one on the scanner, it'll tell you what they do, right? So let's say you've got the solar plexus one out of balance, right? An overactive one can be presented as aggressive, arrogant, intimidating attitude, right? So when you have a dog, maybe that has an issue and you're like, what is wrong with him? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? Why they seem to be aggressive or bullying or something? It's not necessarily their breed, Maybe they've got something out of line. Maybe something's happened, right? So you can do that. The other thing you can do is you can pet your animals with intention. I know we do that for those of you that have horses. You do that with your horses when you groom, right? You've learned how to groom so that you're not brushing against the hair. You're grooming them in a specific way. Maybe you're doing circles. Brenda did a class for us and she showed how to do the tapping. And you can do that on your animals as well. You can do that technique, the tapping technique. When I do raindrop on animals, you do Vitaflex, right? If those of you who do oils and know how to do that, you can do Vitaflex on your animals. You can, if they're having an issue where they're feeling highly emotional, that comes from their crown, right? So when that happens, you can lay hands on them, gradually work up to that crown center, massage it, talk to them, and that will help calm them down. How we use our words and how we speak also affects their bodies, right? It affects their emotions and their moods and such. Never call your animal bad, because guess what? They'll be bad. And I don't know about you guys, but horses have a very long memory. They really do. And if they experience something scary, it's like, 2 steps forward, 50 steps back. And you got to move very cautiously as you help them to move past it. And they're flight animals, right? Dogs have a long memory too, but they're much more forgiving. Much more forgiving. Because if you see that, you'll see dogs that get beat by the owner and they'll still go over and lick their hand. It is what it is. That's how dogs were created, to be very pleasing for us, right? So petting with intention is really good. And yes, this is why a thunder jacket is used for dogs' anxiety, because it wraps them tight and it really helps. But I tell you what, this little device, well, I have this. You guys can use your phones now, which is really awesome. Okay. So we've talked about the energy centers. We've talked about the how you can intentionally pet your animals. The other thing is, and I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but did you know that most dogs do not like to be pet on the head? So if you go up to a dog and you go like this to pet them, and they do this, it isn't because they've been abused. I have 2 dogs that we've had since they were 8 weeks old. They're litter mates, and they couldn't be more different, not only in their personalities, but in their looks. And my one dog, Pete, who's much more hyper, he's silly. I call him my silly pup. He just runs and he runs in circles outside and he's just go, 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 go. When I go to touch his head, if he doesn't want me to, he immediately ducks down. That dog has never been hit. He's never been spanked. None of that. They just don't like it. Dogs don't really like, you guys are going to go, oh, that's not true. They really don't like to be hugged. When you go up in full force, like, put your arms around your dog's neck and you hug him really tight, that's not something they really like, especially a big dog. Smaller dogs, they're a little bit different. They've been bred a little bit differently, but big dogs, the minute you're hugging them, you're getting in all of their vulnerable spaces, their neck, their chest, their head. You could hug them from the back, grab them from the behind and hug them around their middle, and they'll be like, what? But you go forward with them and they're like, wait a minute. And you can tell that, in their ears and also in their face, when their heads, because what they'll do is they'll tuck. And the tucking is a protection of the throat. I'm sure you've seen Pyrenees, Anatolians. There's another breed. They're all absolute guard dogs, and they're from like the Pyrenees Mountains in that area. And you'll see them with big spike collars. The spikes are out. They wear those because they battle wolves and coyotes, and that's just their job. And that's where any dog, watch your dogs play. If you have 2 dogs, watch them play. How do they grab each other? Mine are always grabbing their throat, grabbing their back leg. They're playing, but that's also showing they're attacking, right? That's how they would attack their prey, or another dog or something. That's the vulnerable area. So when you're doing that, think about, is this something my dog really likes? When you look at them, within the scanner and you see things that are going on, you can then say, okay, how can I help them? If my scanner's not regulating it, do I need to look and see, is there something else? Do I look at the food issues? Is there a toxicity that's going on that's maybe making them out of balance? Have they got, again, when you look at the meridian chart, you can see if there's a problem within their root energy center, what's that affecting? Does it affect the bladder line? Is it affecting, their digestive system? What's going on there? And see, kind of go from that area. What else? When you run your scans, remember that it is a snapshot in time. So you can run a scan and 5 minutes later run another one, and it could be totally different as far as in and out, right? When you look at things like CBCs, fatty acids, those kind of things, they can fluctuate a lot because some of them will change because of another one. When you look at like CBCs, any of them like monocytes, lymphocytes, all of that, if one is high, it might be drawing from another one. So it's not necessarily a problem. The thing with the scanner, just like with humans, when you use your scanner, you want to do it over time. If you think there's something going on with your animal, look at what's going on in the scanner and say, okay, they're always showing high, whatever, I don't know, maybe something with their thyroid, right? Thyroid low, thyroid low. So you want to watch and see, well, okay, what are the signs? Does my dog have, or my cat have an issue? And how do I find that out? What do I see, right? The balancing harmonics, that's a fabulous tool because it's kind of like what we do with inner voice, right? It plays the harmonics for us, and it really, for the humans, oh man, it's fabulous. Talk about emotional balancing. For animals, it's a little bit different. And I'll be honest with you, none of my dogs like it. They really don't. They're like, they kind of go, oh, because of whatever. So we've learned to kind of adjust things. I can put those in a playlist for them and then broadcast it that way. And it doesn't have to be sound. It can just be the playlist itself. And that's the other thing that's really wonderful. Once you've done your vitals and you've watched your dog and you can say, okay, like, again, I'll use Pete because he goes through more things than the others. He was having an issue the other night where he was getting sick and he wouldn't come near you, and it's like, okay, he's totally out of sorts. Now, everything within his vitals showed just fine. But when I did the other scans, so when you go to the Cepheid scans and you can do different scanning on them, I did the flowers one. It showed he was struggling with some depression. Like, what's he got to be depressed about? But there was something going on, right? So I have an anxiety scan for him, a playlist that I put together, and I just started running that. And that helps him, gives him peace and calming. It helps him with any depression and all. And it took about 24 hours, and then he was doing fine. Now he's back to himself. My other dog, Snow, she's my oldest dog. She's 11. They're all the same breed, just so you know. They're all Pyrenees Labrador mix. And she has allergy issues really bad. So she is highly allergic to fleas. And we struggle with fleas out here, obviously. But the minute she gets the flea bites, then she starts biting. And you know how dogs are, they get a hot spot and then that becomes an issue because it's a lick and it makes it worse. And then they lick more and it makes it worse. It's just that vicious circle. So for her, we tried everything. I did raindrop, we did oils, we did. So I started doing the scanner on her, and I did a playlist for her for allergies, and it took probably 6 months, but her skin, now she looks like her old self. She has fur all over where she didn't have fur before. She's not chewing on her tail. She had it so bad on her tail where her root and tail chakras were that they were crusty. When she stopped chewing on them, they were all scabby and nasty. It was horrible, horrible. But now she's doing better.
Awesome.
So I'm really, that's really, it's really been a blessing. Solux has several products for animals that are really great. I just got the Cybin color for them. And it comes with this little pet thing, this little thing that you can imprint frequencies, which is wonderful. I put mine on a mini carabiner because these little things are horrible to get on and off. So that's another thing you can do. But as you use your scanner, the thing that I would do for you, use it on yourself and use it on your animals. If you're right emotionally, you're going to help your animals. You're going to make their lives so much better, right? If you are in that situation where you've got an animal that you're having to make some very hard decisions on, Brenda put a fabulous playlist together for grief. Run that on yourself, because you can't make decisions when it's very hard to make decisions when you're grieving. That's why the funeral business is such big money, because when you're grieving, you just want, oh my gosh, and you don't want to do that. So run that. I encourage you to do that. There's a lot of frequency playlists out there for animals that, well, I've put many together with my horse. When, I have one that was specifically for him for tumors and just all the stuff that he was going through, that made it a lot easier for him. Like I said, he had heaves, which is like COPD for humans. And I started running respiratory frequencies for him, doing his vitals, because we can do comprehensive. And his lungs improved so much because of that. But, he was a rescue, PMU rescue, so he didn't have the best first year of life. I think that's it. I mean, there's just lots more I could tell you guys, but it's just, any feedback, questions, comments?
Yes. Like yes. So I use the scanner a lot for my pets. And I just wanted to, say this, it's so true what you said about using the scanner on yourself. And just I hadn't really thought about it the way you put it, about how we transfer all of our emotions to our pets. But one thing I can say is that anytime I have been stressed or upset, there is a tone in my voice that, like, I don't even sometimes recognize it, but I can tell I've hit it because my dog shakes.
Mm,
It's not like I've ever beat her or hurt her, but it's whatever it is, it's something she does not like. And it's just a stress tone. And so I realized, like, I'm affecting her. And I recently was helping somebody with their pet, and they were having, it was, kind of an emergency, urgent situation. And I was just trying to help her as best I could. And I realized, like, you have got to calm down. You have got to use the scanner on yourself, because you are transferring all this anxiety to your dog.
mhm,
You can't even calm down because you're so frantic and upset. And it's just exactly what you said. It's like we don't realize how much we are transferring because we think of them as animals. We know that with people, right?
mhm,
We know we're affected or infected, as the case may be, by people's frequencies and attitudes and emotions, but we don't often think about that in relation to our pets. So that is like fabulous information to really think about, that you're, potentially dumping all this emotional stuff on your pet. Not that you shouldn't do that, because truly they are like,
mhm,
they are so good, especially like horses and dogs and kitties, about helping us calm down, but just not to leave them in that state, not to leave them
Yeah.
without then sending some frequencies for them to help
right,
them recover from what we just poured on them.
right.
So,
Well, and you need to think about, there's a term we have, it's called heart math.
mhm.
And it's the heart, what your heart, so broadcast your frequencies, right? For horses, they can sense your heart and emotions from, I want to say it's like 8 yards. So it's kind of a long distance. So by the time I'm halfway to the barn, they're already knowing what's my emotional state.
Wow.
Um, Dogs, I think, are even more, plus dogs, again, because they're more physical, they deal more with the physical aspects. they can really sense it. When I'm upset, my dogs are like, what's going on? What's going on? Are you okay? And they're like, no, it's like, I'm fine. I'll be fine. But to your point, don't leave them that way. You think about the therapy dogs, and my goodness, what therapy animals, what a great thing. Jen does a thing with horses, with therapy horses up there in Massachusetts. But I think about that animal who's got these people that are struggling, either physically, emotionally, whatever it is. Why are they there for therapy? And this animal is being ridden by I don't know how many people and being led and walked by how many people. And they're interacting with that. And then it's like, okay, you're done. And then they put him in a barn and brush him down. Oh, good horsey, good horsey. And that's that.
Mm-hmm.
The horse is like, okay. What an amazing animal they could have if they just balanced him out, right? With horses, we are so fortunate with the scanner to have comprehensive. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen what the comprehensive looks like for a horse. It's amazing because it goes through all of the just everything that they have, all their veins and their muscles and their bones. And my one horse, Junior, I thought his conformation was I actually had a vet tell me, oh, he's got really bad conformation with his back, because in his back, right at his, just before his tail, where his back swayed up like that, it was like off like this. And I was like, oh, and I told Ken, no wonder he doesn't like to be ridden. Well, guess what? We started doing comprehensives on him. I don't know how long it was, maybe 7, 8 months. And one day my farrier came out, and as she grabbed his back leg, his right back leg, which he hated having done, and she was very ginger with it, she picked it up and she's like, oh my gosh, did you hear that? And I didn't, because he was letting out such a huge sigh. It was like, and then all of a sudden he released his leg, he moved it forward. She's like, oh my gosh. And what had happened is his back, the frequencies in his back had aligned themselves so well that it was able to go back into alignment when he got adjusted. So it was almost like a chiropractic adjustment when she did his leg, but it was because of the frequencies.
Mom, there's a question. Lisa has a question about how to set up your dog in the scanner.
You
Or your
set him
animal.
up. Yeah. So you set up all your animals under yourself, right? So when you tap on your profile, it comes up like that. And then you would do pets and animals, which is the second one, right? And you click on that, pets and animals, and it's going to do the little do. And that's going to show me, see, that shows you all the animals that I have in mind. I even have chickens. I got my Henriette, and then she's not with us anymore. But, and then where it says, what's got the little plus at the top, you hit plus and it adds your animal. When you do that, as you go down into the information, it's going to ask you for the pet ID. And your pet ID is actually this little blue. It's what's on that. Now, you don't have to have that. It's not essential. If you had it, like you had it for your dog, your horse, your cat, then you would put that in there. Otherwise, you can put in, I usually put their birth date, and then I put like maybe their initials, or like for Bo, I used to have BB after his for Big Boy. So you can do that. It's not something that's going to be critical or make it a crazy, if you don't have it, it's not like, oh, but definitely put a picture in there, because picture is kind of what it, I mean, it utilizes it, and it works off of that. I have, when I do have done clients for horses and such, I always ask them, give me a picture so that it's in the scanner. So the same thing with your dog. With your dog, cat, even with your maybe chickens and goats, there are some things that you can do. You can definitely run playlists on them. There's one thing that some will tell you, like I've said, you can't do a comprehensive on a dog. There are a lot of people out there who'll say, well, just use them as a horse or a human. I don't do that, because, well, though their body structure, horses and dogs and cats, they're four-legged, they walk on 4 legs, they have similar structures. They do not have the same amount of lymph nodes. They do not have the same meridian lines. They don't have, dogs don't have hoofs, they have paws. It's different. And you're going to get a basic, but you're not going to get truth. And so you're going to be looking at stuff going, oh, I think this is this. And oh, I think this is, and no, no. So my personal opinion is don't do it. You may want to do it. That's your call. There are others out there that do it. The scanner also can do the tuning forks, which you can use on your animals. And it's really fabulous. I've tried it. And like I said, mine are a little more sensitive. And since you have to have sound up, but it's really cool because you can use those if you do raindrop, you can use those within your raindrop. And it's very, very cool. The other things that you can do, so I do this with mine all the time because I'm like, what's going on? So like for my horse, Jack, I pull him up on my scanner, right? So like that in Cepheid, and I do quantum Cepheid reach, right? Because you can do that as a scan and you don't have to put something in there. And when I scan him, and I love this because I'm like, huh. So it does this little thing, right? So right now I just did it on him and it comes up with his affirmation of confidence, self-esteem, and love. And I go, oh, is he feeling unloved? Does he not have confidence? I don't know.
Mm.
But if I did his vitals, if his heart energy center was off balance, I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, he does. He doesn't feel very loving or he needs love or whatever. But it's cool because if you do that, you can do the scan and you can run the frequencies if you want to. And they came up with the continuous time block, which I love. Or you can imprint, right? You could imprint anything, water, food, things they wear, their collars, the little tags. The thing that's nice about being able to imprint water, because for my horses, I put water on their alfalfa cubes and sometimes on their food. And so I can put it into their water bowl well, they don't have a bowl, they have a trough, put it in their trough. But you can do frequencies and put them in your dog's water, your cat's water, in their food. You can imprint their food because it's imprintable, right? And you can do whatever you need to help them. You can imprint a playlist. There's just a lot of things you can do with the scanner that I don't know if a lot of people do it or not. I do. I check them for minerals. I pull up, now we've got the essential oil thing, which I think is great too, because we do oils here. I do run the scan and say, okay, what oil is Blackjack? That's my horse. What does he need today? And it'll tell me, like right now it says he should have geranium because it's anti-inflammatory, antiseptic. It's an antiseptic agent, treats skin ailments such as oils, acne, etc. That's cool to know, right? Because you have to play it in order for me to do it for him. I'd have to be out there with him, right? Because he's out in the barn. But I could imprint it, or I could take a bottle of geranium oil out and put some on him and say, oh, here, Bubba, here you go. And he'll be like, okay. The other thing is that when you do utilizing your scanner, as I said before, for grief, the grief playlist for your animals, when we put Bo down, those three, especially Jack and Bo, they were together since I've had them. I had them almost 20 years. And Jack, I've never had to do that. So I've never been around it. It was heartbreaking. No, let me rephrase that. It wasn't. It was difficult because just seeing him and how sad he was and how he acted, the way he would he's the only horse that makes noise on our property. My other horse, he just kind of wrinkles his nose, but his whinnies were distressful. And when I went out to feed him, he would come and feed, right? He'd eat, but normally I go out to there and I feed him. He always gives me a hug, especially in the morning. He wraps his head around me and he gives me a hug. He wouldn't have anything to do with me. He was so mad at me because it was my fault, right? His buddy wasn't there. It's my fault. And he's right. So I played the playlist for him and Junior for over 30 days. And after 2 months, he finally came around. He started acting like himself. He started talking to me again. Now he hugs me, yells at me all the time. I go outside. He's like, where's my food? So it's just huge. The scanner is wonderful. If you're not using it on your critters, please do. Just wouldn't add the salt to the water for dogs. Lisa, are you asking if you would add salt to water?
I wouldn't think we'd want to put
Add
the
salt?
salt in the water, you know, like the Celtic sea salt that we put in our water when we imprint.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd want to add that sodium
No,
or
I don't. Well, I don't do that.
minerals to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't add salt to water when I imprint it. I just imprint it. Yeah.
For me, I add the salt because I need the minerals, but for
Oh,
him-
okay. Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I no, don't, yeah, just do it plain water. Yeah, I would definitely just do the plain water, which is cool.
I have a question, Janice, for people who have a scanner and they're looking, they see something and they think, oh, I need to create a playlist for this. Could you talk a little bit about your process for how you choose what goes into a playlist? And maybe like, I know it's intuitive, so I know it's not like
I
you
was gonna
can.
say it's very complicated. No.
Yes, right, right. But just in
Right.
general, like, what do you check? Like, I know what I check, where I would go, I would look at like the flowers, I'd look at the homeopathics, that kind of
Right.
thing. What would you think about as far as putting into one?
Okay, so what I think about when I do my playlists and when I started it, let me pull up one so that I can look at it. So I've got Jack. So Jack and Junior, my two horses, have their own specifics because there are certain things that in their scans they struggle with. They're older horses, right? So Jack is 22 and Junior's 24. That's getting up there for an animal, right? So they struggle with lymph nodes that are plugged. They struggle with allergies. Jack gets bumps on his, sometimes in the summer he would get the bumps. So I started looking at that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, so what supports that, right? If your animal is showing lymphocytes or different cholesterol things or whatever, start thinking, okay, so what would that be? Well, let's look at, maybe they need some immune support, right? All animals probably need that immune support. They're out there in the weather and they're getting exposed to toxins and stuff, and that can hurt their immune supports, their immune systems. If they have pain, then I look up things for like, okay, what have we got for pain, right? Do I need to do, we've got one that's called pain-free healing and stamina, or do I need to actually break it down into other things, right? Do I need to go individuals? I do look at the different flowers that we have and see what flower goes with what, and then pull those up, right? Take, like I said, it's a little bit of time consuming. Write them down, decide what we want to do. Colostrum is a good one for animals because that's what they get when they're babies, but it's also good because their bodies don't, they need it, but it doesn't make as much as it should. So it's a really good one to add. And then I look at what else is going on in their bodies, like if they're struggling with in their vitals, if it looks like one of their energy centers is, maybe they're having overactive something which is causing them to be anxious, right? Well, then I look for something that's anxiety, right? And we get into the anxieties. A lot of times I have to do Google searches because I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I go to the homeopathics and go, okay. But in the symptoms section, right? If you do it by symptom, you can look and see, like my one boy who had the cancer, it was a specific kind, and we have that. And then it comes up with all the different homeopathics, right? It'll say whatever they are. And then I can scan that. And the top one is the one really that's probably going to be the most. And so I'll write that down because when you go to make your, I'm sorry.
Can I interject right there?
Of
I
course.
wanted to make this point for everybody listening. And this is really for scans that, because we sometimes put playlists that we've created for your benefit so that you don't have to start from scratch. But I want to make the point, what Janice was saying is she scans to see which is the most efficacious for her animal. And so sometimes we'll reproduce a playlist exactly, but you haven't scanned yourself or your child or your spouse or your animal to see which one of those homeopathic remedies would be best for them. And
Right.
so anytime you see a homeopathic in a playlist that somebody else has done, you might consider asking them, like, what symptom did you look up to get this? So I can go scan and maybe replace that with what's going to work for my pet. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I do that kind of just by rote. So I don't think about, yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Anything that you can make a change to that you can scan your animal for, you want to do that, right? You
Yeah.
want to take it and go, okay, let me see, do I need to make a change there because are they struggling with something? And I have, like I said, each one of my animals has their own playlist, and a lot of them have flowers, and I think it's only the flowers that change, but I'll scan them to see, does that flower still hold true?
Yeah.
Do I need to use that one, or should I do something else? Plus, there are some that they may not scan for, but I know that because I've looked it up, I've researched it, I know that that's going to be a good one for them because it deals with the specifics of what they've got going on, right? When you're talking about respiratory or the cancer diagnosis, kidney issues, there are certain homeopathics that should be added that may not scan because it's only going to scan for the most critical one, or it's going to show you the most criticals, right? So you want to go, okay, do they need Leadum Pasteur? No, maybe, right? You want to look at that and see.
Mhm.
Okay, the flowers playlist. I got my handy scanner here, so let me show you. So in the scanner, again, here we go. And I got my horse pulled up. Let me pull my dog up because she's a better one. So I've got Snow. In there, you'll see on the bars, like right around here, it says flowers, right? So if I hit flowers, it comes up with this real pretty little flower. And if I hit scan, right? So it's an emotion. So what it's doing is the flowers are talking about the emotions, right? So with Snow, okay, so can you guys see that? It says despair.
Mm.
Despair. Should I show you my dog that has despair? Are you ready? Does she look like she has despair? She's sleeping.
He's napping.
She's napping. But it says, feeling overwhelmed, often depressed and exhausted with low self-esteem. Well, she's old. She can feel overwhelmed because the other two, especially Pete, love to bug her. So I can understand that. Low self-esteem, she's not she kind of is the matriarch, but then she kind of isn't. So once you have that picked, the thing is when you make a playlist, you cannot add the flower. Is that correct? Let me make sure. Oh, you can add flowers. I apologize. You can add the flowers now. So you would do your playlist. You make your playlist. So that's a playlist that I've started. You would select flowers. And then within the flowers, you would scroll and find the flower that was just talked about, right? What was the flower that it just said? And then you would click on that and add it to your playlist. But like I said, the flowers, they will change depending on the animal's mood and all of that. Did that make sense? I don't have a scanner on my phone. Maybe that's where I'm lost. I have a Droid and it looks like I don't have access to download the AO Scan tech. Okay. Wouldn't that just be go to AO?
Yeah, go to if you have the scanner, if you have the scan subscription, you can just go to your browser, like Chrome or whatever you use on your Android, and then go to app.aoscan.com, and that'll show you the login So you log into that, and then what you can do is you can save that to your home screen on your phone, and it will then forevermore act like an app on your phone. It's not an app, it's a bookmark to a web page, but it will act like that. Okay, say that again. All right, you can go to a browser. If you're on your phone, you can go to a browser like Safari. If you're on an iPhone, Chrome, or whatever you use for Android phones, just go to your browser like you're going to go to the internet. The web page is app. So you type in app.aoscan.com, app.aoscan.com. And then it will give you the login page. So you can log into your scanner just like you would any other place. And when you log in, thank you, Lisa. Lisa put it here in the chat. When you log in, you can save that to your home screen on your phone. And so the way you do that, now I don't have an Android, but I have done this. So on an iPhone, the way you do that is the share button, you know, where you're going to like you share a photo, that up arrow in the little box, you hit that, it pulls up and says, where do you want to share this? Facebook, to, you know, messages, whatever. Scroll down until you see save to home screen. You click save to home screen, and then it will collapse down to an app on your phone. If you're using an Android, it is the 3 dots that you click, and then you also add to or save to your home screen. Oh, okay. So Megan, yes, you do need to sign up first. Okay. So that's helpful. But to see, now you know where to go once you do. Awesome. Awesome. And if you don't have anybody that you know, if you're already have somebody that would want to help you with the scanner, that's great. But if you don't, and you have animals, I highly recommend Janice, and she can help you out with that.
And for those of you, I guess I'll just say it now, for those of you that don't have a scanner and really want to see the benefit, maybe you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to jump in just yet. I am happy to offer that, the scans. I will do 4 scans because I will do 4. I don't like to do just one. That doesn't tell me enough information. 4 scans and a consultation, which is, you know, an hour at least. And I'll send you the scans in a spreadsheet for $30. That's a big discount because it's Christmas time. So
Oh my
if you
God.
guys,
Okay, I'm just going to stop you right there and say, listen, really? You're doing that for $30?
yeah,
Whoa. Okay,
yeah.
so just so you know, everybody listening now on live and later, if you're watching the replay, if you don't take advantage of that, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't do one scan for less than 100. Okay, with a consult. And that's on people. However, pets are people to me. So I'm just saying that's such a deal that, you know, yeah, you need to take advantage of it. Okay. Anyway.
Well, and let me just clarify, the deal is for those that are on this call or that listen
Oh,
later.
okay. Okay.
Because you've gone through class and all of that, so it's not going to be like start from scratch. But yeah, Brenda's right. Yeah, the scans, it's more than that. But I'm happy to do it because once you see it and you see it for yourself, you'll be like, oh, I think I really need to do this. But then again, really need to think about doing it for yourself too, because again, there is nothing on this property that I use that can't be used everywhere. Oils, scanners. I've got other tools that I use, frequency tools, and I can use them on my animals. I can use them on me. I use them on my husband, much to his chagrin. Just all of it.
So Janice, I'm thinking that it would be prudent, even if you have a scanner, to do that with you if you're on this call, just to have the consult. Because, you know, you could talk a little bit about what you see, And for those of us who even have a scanner, maybe we don't really understand how to correlate that with our pet's health. And you could give us some little tips based on that consult and tell
Sure.
us what we could do. So I'm
So
just
I was
saying,
going to chime in and say that because I have 5 kids and 3 dogs. I don't have the time or the wherewithal to scan my animals. And when I do, like when you're talking, I was scanning Roman because he was right here. But it's challenging for me because she's my mom. I mean, how many times do you think I've talked to her about my dogs? But she'll run scans for me, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, when your parents give you everything, like it's invaluable. But she'll help me read it, and like Roman will often come up with overactive chakras, and I don't quite know what that means. And oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. No, I'm sorry. That was me yelling at my dog.
And then like I just scanned him for, I think it was the reach portion, whichever one you can scan, and he came up with integrity, and I'm like, what are you lying about? And I know that it doesn't mean that he doesn't have integrity. So I think for me, I would ask her, well, what does that mean? And I know it doesn't mean that he's lying. I mean, he doesn't have that kind of cognitive ability. So all of that to say, just to chime in and tag on to what Brenna's saying, if you have a scanner, like just you're learning how to help your pet in a completely different modality, and don't come at it like, oh, I know how to do this. You probably don't, because unless you are like her and you were in the military with frequency and you get it, you're not going to get it. And I say don't do that. Just I probably sound like a coach on game day because that's just how I sound a lot of times. And I mean it as nice as I can, but you're just going to frustrate yourself. I watch it all the time with people with essential oils and all this. It's like, well, that didn't work for me because you were doing it wrong. So don't do it wrong. Learn how to do it right from the beginning. Invest a little bit extra into this time. That way, going forward, it's your easy button. And then you can tell the people and yada yada and all that, how that goes. So
I agree. I agree 100% because listen, I probably know as much or more about frequency and the use of frequency as anybody on this call because of having used it since I was diagnosed with cancer, and I use it all the time. I study it. I know all of that. I'm still deferring to Janice because I have not studied how to use it with pets. I don't know that. And so I can try to translate my knowledge, but I'm going to miss some things that she knows. So that's why I say, even if you know some and you think, oh, I can just do this, it's worth it, in my opinion, just to get that little extra expertise and guidance. If you have the scanner to kind of know, how to view what you're looking at. So Janice, what would be the way to contact you if somebody wanted to do the $35?
Just go ahead and PM me
Okay.
with, are you ready? Flat Stanley.
Okay. That's the keyword. That's the
That's
code.
the keyword, Flat Stanley. It's an inside joke with me and my dogs.
Okay. Flat. Is that 2 words or 1 word?
2 words.
Flat Stanley. Okay.
And the one thing I did want to say, since Jen kind of brought it up when she said she scanned her, Roman, and he came up with integrity. There's your quantum entanglement right there. Not that Jen doesn't have integrity. Please don't.
I was like, don't call me out in front of God and everybody right now. Excuse me.
But sometimes my animals come up with abundance. And it's like, oh my gosh, they have the most abundant life ever. But then I feel this little tap and I'm like, oh, okay. It's not them. It can be me, right? It's like, that's what I might be struggling with. And that's that quantum entanglement. So you have to realize if the scanner is going to call you out, so to speak, you can see how it all goes together, right? It's all together with how we interact with our animals, and especially when it comes to frequency. Frequency is out there. You guys are thinking about the EMF stuff and the contrails and all these things. Well, guess what? Yeah, you're right. It's all out there, and it all interacts, and it all goes hand in hand.
So I'm not going to put you on the spot for an answer, but I am going to put this out there just because I'm thinking about it right now and I don't want to forget about it. But if in our Scan Squad group, which is our personal downline, mine and Jen's. If we were to have like a guide, you know how we do the guides that was on pets, would you be willing to kind of put some things in there for that? And just not necessarily, I'm not talking about your expertise and what you do, because that's really part of your business, but tips on the use of the scanner.
No,
No, you wouldn't be willing
I'm
to
just
do
kidding. I'm just kidding.
I have to run a scan on me.
I'm sorry. I've
No,
got a
it's
weird,
fine.
weird sense of humor.
I
Actually,
love
yeah,
it.
no, I would be happy to do that. I'm actually working on a document. I'm almost finished with it for horses, where I've taken all the information on the scan, the vital scan, and I go in like, what does this mean? Like GAD, what is that for horses, right? So I've got it in a, Excel spreadsheet because
Yeah.
I love them. So
I
I'm
love
working on that. I will probably put one together for dogs and cats. I just think that stuff it takes a lot of time to do, and most people don't have that time. I got the time. I like doing it. Something I really like doing. So
I
I'll do
love
the research and I set it up, and then I can go back and look. But yeah, if we want to put something together absolutely, because it's when you go to a document,
Yeah.
and you look, right? Like, as I have a document that's the chakras on dogs, and it's much more detailed than what the scanner has. And I think
Mhm.
it's it's really important to have that, because you can see when you look and say, with this, it'll tell you if your animal has this going on, then it could be this. And you're like, oh, well, let me do and see.
Well, all I can say is other teams in Selects may have their experts, but we're going to have the animal whisperer. So I'm just saying, like, if anybody knows anybody that loves their animals and wants to have the expert, they should join us. So,
Right.
Jen, we need to make your mom an admin in the scan squad, by the way.
Okay, I'll do that right now so I don't forget.
Does
And
she
just
love
so you
not?
know, I do have my business page, which is Holistic Critter
Yes.
Care on Facebook, and I'll be posting more on that. I've been working through that. I've been excited to do this class. So this class has kind of taken all my focus the last week and a half. But I'll be putting information out there too. So if you follow that page, you'll get, tips, maybe tip of the week, tip of the day. I'm going to give you guys a freebie right now. If you have things like mistletoe and poinsettias in your house, they're poisonous to your animals. Be careful. I don't know why we have mistletoe. It's a fungus. It kills trees, but people think it's really cool. So just remember. And dogs, I don't know about, well, chickens for sure. I mean, I got to tell you guys, yesterday, my chicken was running around with a dead mouse in her beak, and everybody was chasing her, trying to get the dead mouse. So, and I was chasing her, trying to get it away from her, but they're chickens.
Mhm.
So yeah, mistletoe, poinsettias, very, very poisonous.
Okay, I typed that up in there, and that's Holistic Critter Care on
Yep.
Facebook again. And I follow her. And just so you know, the way Facebook works, like if you want to see those tips that she's going to give, the best thing you can do in order to make sure you do is not just to go like, but to comment, right? So Facebook knows that this is really interesting to you and that you want to see it, right, Jen? Am I saying that
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. And definitely like comment if you, and also change your settings, that you want, if you follow somebody and you want to be notified and that kind of thing. It's real particular. So if you don't want to miss it, and then of course, the more you go back and check it specifically, it'll go, oh, you really like this kind of stuff. So, but be warned, you're probably also going to get a bunch of ads for holistic animal care too, as well.
Yes, because you know how that works too. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, listening device,
Yeah.
see all the ads for this.
Hey, wiretap, can cats
Yeah.
make pancakes? That kind of thing.
Did anybody have any other questions before we I didn't know if somebody had something specific. You're muted. You're still muted.
Dogs
There
were barking, so I
yeah,
muted
there you
me.
go.
The thing that I would say, seriously, if you're not scanning your animals, you should. But also, when you are with your animals, think about them with intention. You know, pet them with intention. When you rub them, don't just do this, but really massage and do. They really love it. They really do. And it really, really helps them. And it'll help you too. But so, you know, do that kind of stuff. It's really a blessing.
It's funny you say that because I have a reputation in our family as the best back scratcher.
Oh,
Okay. I know that's weird, but like somebody that scratches backs and rubs shoulders and stuff. And, I was like, well, why is it different? And I realized, and I've said this, the reason it's different is because everybody else is like doing it to get done. And I'm doing it with intention. I'm thinking about how much I love that person. I'm thinking about our relationship and thinking about them when I'm doing it. And so it translates my energy into my hands.
yeah.
And so you saying that, I hadn't really thought about that with animals, but yes,
Yep.
thinking about them, thinking about how precious they are to you can transmit that in through your hands, through your touch.
Yeah.
Love that.
And if you do have a scanner, and you know somebody that's going to be getting a puppy for Christmas or adopting an animal from a shelter or rescue, please offer to do a scan on them, get that animal balanced, share that information with people, because trauma, 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 trauma.
Mhm.
And you know, so many animals end up back at the shelter because, oh, they can't adjust, or that, well, they wouldn't, they wouldn't if you would do these things.
Yeah, you should probably put out something right after Christmas that says, "Hey, did you get an animal for Christmas?
Yeah.
I do trauma remediation," because there'll be people that don't have a scanner that you
Yeah.
could maybe do something with because they'll just go buy a pet for their kids and not think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, if you don't, oh,
I have
Nicole,
I have a question or kind of a comment, what you were saying, Brenda, about rubbing them each morning, Copper, when the alarm starts to go off, because I have one of those alarms that starts going off before it wakes me up, but it wakes him up. And he gets in and he'll start moving. He sleeps with me and he gets in and starts moving around. And he literally gets on my face, on my chest, on my face for me to start the morning rubbing because he loves that, and it's like a paw in the face, quit pawing me. But that's so true, because when you rub with intention, when you pet them with intention, they know that.
Yeah.
When he sits in my lap, I'm constantly, just like Pamela is doing. She has not stopped rubbing her baby. I mean, because that's what we do, and they enjoy that, and it translates to us as well. I think it's kind of calming to me to be able to rub him. So this call has been so good. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I have my dogs, when they want something, they paw. And they got the big Pyrenees paws, and it's like, ow, ow. And I'll be rubbing my girl dog, Snow, and she'll start pawing, and I'm already rubbing her. I'm like, am I not scratching in the right place? And usually that's when I'll start looking on her body, and it's like, oh, you want your muzzle scratched. And then I scratch her face and she stops pawing. So it's that she's trying to communicate with me, and I'm like, what? What?
well, I know that you'd probably say yes to this, but I just want to kind of clarify. Now, I have two animals, and occasionally, really it's the min pin. She's the more high strung one. Believe it or not, it's our Chihuahua that's the chill, unless she's barking, in which case she's out of control. But occasionally there'll be like this behavioral issue, where there's like a lot of growling and jockeying. And it's interesting because when I pull up on the scanner and look at the chakras, the chakras that are out because of jealousy and insecurity. And so would you say that a lot of these behavioral issues like that are because of their chakras being out of balance?
I absolutely would. Absolutely. Because, with animals, I mean, you got to remember that they are either pack or herd,
Mhm.
right? That's why, dogs are pack animals, except cats. Cats are just cats. They're just cats.
Exactly.
They're going to do their thing. But dogs, and especially when if you've had one dog longer than another dog, I mean, so quick story. I had to have my one dog put down. She got very old and very sick, and that was what we did. And so we had two dogs. And then my other dog, Jake, he got run over by a tractor. Horrible. So now we have one dog. We had Snow. And this was before I had my scanner. And so I didn't know, but obviously she was grieving. She missed her buddies. So then we got puppies. So we got puppies in May, which was like 8 weeks after Jake was gone. Oh my gosh, Snow was so annoyed. It took her, and this is not a lie, it took her almost 2 years before she came around to putting up with these puppies. And she would just growl when they came by. She would snap. And again, if I'd had my scanner, I would have been able to run the scans on her to help balance her out. Now, that's not going to change the fact that she was annoyed, but it would help her not be as annoyed. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's like going from a 10 to a 7 or maybe a 6, right? To where she's like, okay, I can deal with this. And so that's, whenever there's that jealousy, absolutely. Aggression is not necessarily the breed, but what's going on. If you adopt a dog from a shelter and you've already got a dog at home, that shelter dog is going to want way more of your attention. And the one that you've got at home is going to be like, what the?
Yeah.
They don't always, anybody that has livestock, if you've ever brought a new livestock animal in, a horse or a cow or whatever, watch how they interact. It can be very, very scary. Horses, they'll bite each other, they kick, they're just not always kind. Dogs are a little more kind, but still it's like, no, because man, you just messed up the whole dynamics.
Yeah, well, mine, when I've noticed they get off is we have our pecking order. They know the pecking order, right? And when we've had a problem, usually it seems like it's when our Chihuahua is maybe not feeling well, and I'm the bad one. Okay, so you don't always do what you know. So I'll give her extra special time or attention or whatever, and that messes with my min pin because she's higher on the chain, and she's like, "Hey, no, wait a minute. I get pet first. I get treats first. I get everything first." And if you mess with that, that's when she starts showing up and getting a little jealous. And it's my fault, not hers. I'm messing with their order.
Yeah.
But if I do that, then at least maybe I can help them get back to normal.
Right. And then just think about this. Now you've got three females in one room dealing with all of that. It's a thing that my neighbor, he's got all female dogs now. He's got 4. And oh my gosh, they can be so horrible with each other. And that's another part of, right, the animal thing. Females in the animal field tend to be a little bit, shall I say, nichier than
Nice save there, yeah.
than males, right? We've got 2 boys and a girl dog, and we don't have those kinds of issues. Our boys don't fight. They're not that aggressive like that with each other. They tend to be a little bit more mellow. They're neuter. Everybody's neutered in the house, but it's different. You see mares versus geldings. It's a big difference. And Lisa said donkeys are not kind. I didn't know that. We don't have donkeys here.
I used to have donkeys, and I had 2 because they're pack animals. So you always have to have 2. And one got hit by 3 rattlesnakes at one time, and we had to put her down. And it was so traumatic for me, but it was also traumatic for her sister. And so we got another donkey about 6 weeks later, because I had to search for them, because you can't they're miniature donkeys. And when I brought Zeta in, Nellie wasn't really happy because she had kind of thought that we had deer on the property. And so she had a friend that was a deer that had just been, she had stayed in the house pasture since she was born. She couldn't jump fences. So she had kind of run with Nellie. So Nellie and Deer were, a pack. And when we brought Zeta in, because we knew we needed another donkey, Nellie didn't like her for a while. It took some training on my
Yeah.
part to intervene, that you have to be nice. This is your new sister. So
Yeah.
donkeys are I guess much like horses, but I've never had horses, never been around horses. But after they kind of realized that, that Zeta was going to be alpha because she was a little bit older, then Nellie kind of went, oh, okay. Because so anyway, but no, donkeys can bite just like the horses do. I mean, and they hurt.
Yes.
I mean, they can really hurt each other. So you have to be careful with them.
Yeah, I got bit by a horse one time and I had to have 18 stitches in my thumb. He almost took my thumb off. So my fault, holding the carrot. And anyway.
my girls never ever bit me in the 6 years that I had them. And everyone's like, you're holding that wrong. And I said, no, I'm not. They're not going to bite me, because they know the hand that feeds them, because I hand fed them their protein from the time I got them. That's how I trained them. And so I hand fed their protein and they got used to that. So when I gave them carrots and things like that, it was no big deal for me to. And then when I would have friends come over and do the same thing, they were like, you've really trained them really well, because you don't even get near their teeth. They know where to pull back. So animals are so smart. They're much smarter.
They are very smart. They are very smart. This was a client's horse. This was many, many years ago, but yeah, I was like, okay, that was my fault, not theirs. But yes. And if you do a scan on your donkey, put them in as a horse, because they really do have very similar structures. That would be okay. Fall within the equine.
Unfortunately, I don't have them anymore.
Oh, you don't have them. Oh, I'm sorry.
It makes me sad.
Might be people that are watching later that do. So
Yeah.
that's good information to know. That's good information. Well, I don't know if we want to, Jen, what do you think, Janice? You want to take some more questions? I mean, we kind of allotted about an hour and a half, and we're kind of at that, but I don't want to cut anybody off if you have questions. Or you can always, if you have questions, you can always DM Janice and ask her questions, or you can ask questions in the Scan Squad. If you're in our group, you can ask questions there that might help everybody learn. And that would be great, because she can chime in with her wisdom and help us all learn about our animals. So
yeah, if there's no questions or comments, concerns, whatever.
So do we just contact you through the group to be able to sign up for the scans for the puppies?
Yeah. Yeah, you can actually private message me. Right now I'm on my phone.
Okay.
We're friends on Facebook, right, Lisa?
I don't know.
Or do I just see your stuff? I see a lot of stuff. There you are.
Friend request me if I'm not, and we'll.
Okay. I just messaged you, so you'll get the message. You can just let me know. Oh, you know Dana Cranfield. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, and I'm Jen, your daughter, and I are friends.
I know. Yes. She said, my friend.
I love Lisa very, very much. So
now, are you in Canada, Lisa?
No, I'm in Central Texas.
I'm
Georgetown, just north of Austin.
Okay, why did I think Canada? Okay.
Oh, no, that's way too cold for me. No.
I was like, not Lisa. That would not work.
No. I have on sweats and a sweatshirt and shirts underneath, and I'm sitting in my house at 68 degrees because I hate the heat, but no, I don't like cold. It's cold and rainy outside. No.
I love it. I love it.
I would die if I had to go see Jen in Boston. Oh my gosh.
Hey, listen, I'm just saying, we all get together. We go in the summer.
Yeah.
Like, when it's hotter than Hades in Texas, that's when you go visit Jen in Boston.
Agreed.
There you go.
Come in August. You'll love it then.
Yeah.
Are as the seasons start to change, like in the fall, because you get color and we don't.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's nothing like that. Nothing like in April in Boston either. I'll just say that it's absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop the recording then.